What a dynamic duo I have in front of the camera today. We have two sport watches. Neither one come from Switzerland, but both of them are just exquisitely crafted. One from Japan, one from Germany. And I feel very fortunate to have them side by side here to share with you on the channel. So the one on the right is the Glashütte Original SeaQ from the Specialist Collection. This one, full retail on the bracelet, is $9,900. So this is a upper tier luxury diver, hand finished, excellent detail work. It really is impressive and is probably, if I had to make a blanket statement, it's probably the most comfortable dive watch that I've ever had the pleasure of putting on wrist and trying out for a short amount of time. It really is so well done. Now it is next to a dress style piece from Grand Seiko, done in their classic design that they've really perfected over the past 55 or so years. This is the SBGA 211 from the Heritage Collection, otherwise known as the Snowflake, and this one's full retail price is quite a bit lower at $5,800 on the high intensity titanium bracelet. Now, I asked to review and borrow the Snowflake from Exquisite Timepieces. They are an authorized dealer for both of these brands. They are the authorized dealer that I purchased my Omega from in Naples, Florida. So they sent me the Grand Seiko to film, and they also included the Glashütte as a surprise. I actually didn't know that one was going to be in the box, so great surprise. And having the two watches next to each other for the past week or so has been an exceptional treat for me as a watch fan. Both of them do something so very well. I love the sharpness and the clarity of the dial on the Snowflake, on the Grand Seiko. These polished applied markers, faceted, are as clean as I've ever seen in years of doing macro video on watches on YouTube. They really grab light. They raise off of that irregular undulating dial when it comes to the texture, and contrast nicely with the thermally blued hand, the blue printing of spring drive, and the black polishing of the GS logo. And paired with all the other details, the black printed indexes along the circumference of the dial, the widescreen framed date cutout, and the power reserve complication, really this is quite a lovely and attractive watch. And the nice thing is this carries 100 meters of water resistance. It has a screw down crown and will be absolutely accurate to within 15 seconds per month, which is very impressive for a hybrid movement. It's not quite a quartz movement, but it's not quite a traditional mechanical movement. What they're doing here is taking energy stored in a traditional mainspring, and through a tri-synchro regulator and an electromagnetic brake, Grand Seiko is releasing the energy in a controlled, continuously smooth release. So when you look at the seconds hand, there is no ticking. Even on a micro level, it is absolutely smooth and very, very accurate. So very impressive what they're doing there. I love the polishing, the Shiratsu polishing. The origin actually took place in Germany where the Glashütte is from, but really the Japanese have kind of made it famous with the Shiratsu name and just how well they work with metal. And like I mentioned, this is fashioned out of high intensity titanium, so it is absolutely feather light. It's kind of surprising. You look at this and you see a substantial case size, substantial height. It's actually larger than the sport diver, the SeaQ that it's sitting next to, and you would expect a little bit of heft and weight. Then you pick it up and it totally messes with your mind because there's really nothing to it when it comes to the weight. It really disappears on wrist. Now, that being said, it's kind of a catch-22 because I know owners that forget that they're wearing the watch. And I don't know, I don't advocate for going around being obsessively overprotective of what you're wearing, but you do have a tendency to do an activity or maybe scratch it that you otherwise wouldn't if you were kind of acutely aware of what was on your wrist. So that paired with the fact that titanium, although it is a stronger alloy than stainless steel, is much more susceptible to surface wear, to hairlines, to scratches, and it especially hurts when you mar and scratch and deface such a beautiful dress style piece like this Grand Seiko. So, you know, this one will show wear over time if you were to purchase one. Even if you are pretty careful with your watch, you'll kind of forget that you're wearing it on some days because it is so comfortable. It does disappear, and it's going to hurt when you scratch it a little bit. And I could say the same thing with the Glashütte when it comes to the polished center links. There's a lot of real estate there that has that gorgeous hand-finished, high gloss, reflective feel to the polishing. So that is definitely going to show wear within probably the first week of you purchasing the watch. Now, that being said, put on your big boy shorts. It's okay if things get scratched. We just want to avoid excessive abuse. A sport watch that shows signs of wear just says a statement about you as an individual, that you love and wear your watches as intended. But I won't try to deny that the hairlines and the scratches, they can hurt on such a beautiful luxury price point item like the Grand Seiko and like the SeaQ from Glashütte. Now, one of the things that's great about both of these watches is there is a high level of hands-on craftsmanship during the production process where an expert craftsman is hand finishing, hand brushing, hand polishing, and assembling, regulating, and compiling the movement, the crystal. You know, this is not, certainly there is some automation throughout the production process, but it's really interesting to note that with both of these brands, there is a higher level than average when it comes to hands-on creation and assembly. And I always find that impressive as a watch fan, something that I can appreciate. So just in closing here, I wanted to show the two side by side, kind of talk about what I love of each one. And as we wrap up the video, I love the dial details again of the Snowflake, the accuracy of the movement, how this shines in a macro level with light coming through the window and just bouncing off of these sharp as can be Dauphine style hands and applied markers. Really is fun to take a look at. And really, if you own a Snowflake, you should buy a macro lens for your phone, a clip-on one, or you should buy a loupe and spend some time and appreciate the detail work here because it's quite fun. Now, the Glashütte, like I said, this SeaQ is the most comfortable watch, comfortable dive watch that I've ever tried, and the vertical brushing on the case side is so sharp and clean. The fully articulating bracelet has such a substantive feel on wrist, and it's such a quality drape. And you won't see screw heads on the sides of each one of these links, even though they are fully articulating. Each one can be removed. The screws actually go on the back side of the watch or of each link where your wrist would be, and the feel is so nice. I love the hidden adjustability. By pushing down the logo on the clasp, you can add to or take away a little bit of travel, and overall the comfort, the design, the retro factor, the tolerances of the crown action, the bezel, like the tactile elements that we interact with as watch fans, is so satisfying on this Glashütte. It kind of makes me rethink, like, hey, do I want to wear a Submariner? Do I want to wear a Seamaster? Because this SeaQ is just so good, and really nobody knows about it outside of a few die-hard watch fans. And the same actually could be said about both brands. If I were to walk down the street, someone would probably notice my watch and think, yeah, that looks nice. They would have zero idea that both of these cost multiple thousands of dollars. And it's only until you meet a fellow watch idiot savant that you can have a conversation where someone else actually knows the amount of quality, hands-on love and assembly that goes on here. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's like walking around with a secret on your wrist that only a few in the know can really appreciate. As silly as that sounds. So guys, I'm gonna stop rambling here. I'm gonna end my rant about these two beautiful watches, but I'll end with the question, wouldn't this be almost the very best 1-2 punch that you could buy if you're not including any Swiss watches? And really, do you need to include a Swiss watch? Because Japan and Germany, they make such good stuff that not a lot of people know about. And this is a pretty amazing 1-2 punch. So thank you to Exquisite Timepieces, to my friend Nick who always takes good care of me. I really appreciate them sending in these gorgeous watches for presentations. It's really helped my channel out a lot to borrow such fun pieces. So if you're in the market for Grand Seiko, for Omega, for Glashütte, for a number of brands, maybe you want to trade in your daily driver and upgrade, reach out to Nick. His contact information is in the description. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch today. If this is your first time, I would love for you to subscribe and join me again as we talk watches, compare watches, present watches, and enjoy all things horology. So again, guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one.